This video is sponsored by Squarespace. So I owe you guys a capsule wardrobe video. It's been a while and I thought I would sit down today and explain to you why I quit, or just why I don't have my capsule wardrobe anymore. But I figured before I go into all that, I should sort of explain to you why I started my capsule wardrobe anyway, because maybe some of you are new or you just don't know my story. And I think knowing the backstory is equally as important as knowing the current story or whatever. So anyway, let's get into it. So I started my capsule wardrobe in 2014 because I needed a big change in my life. Back then, I wouldn't have considered myself a conscious consumer, definitely not a minimalist at all. I was kind of like a completely different person in the way that I thought about materialism and the things that I purchased. Basically, I shopped all the time. I shopped at Forever 21. I shopped at all the fast fashion places you can think of. I thought that my purchases were making me happy and adding value to my life, but obviously they weren't. And by the time Nick and I got married and moved in together in 2014, I had so much stuff. And when I was living at home, it was fine because no one else had to deal with my stuff. But when I moved in with Nick, it was very apparent that I had an issue that I needed to deal with. The interesting thing about my issue too is that I had a lot of stuff that I was holding on to that I wasn't wearing. So back then it was like tons of vintage dresses or just things that I was holding on to because maybe I wore them to a special event, or I had a good memory wearing them, or I thought like, you know, sometime in the future when I get a new job or whatever, I'll be able to wear this more. But that time and place never ended up happening, and I just was hoarding these pieces that I was never wearing. I was pretty fed up with my situation, and I was sort of in the midst of wanting to change my consumeristic tendencies, so I started donating. I donated a ton of stuff. I had multiple garage sales, which is embarrassing to admit, but it's true. The resource that really started it all for me back then was the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I know that book gets a bad rap sometimes, but it really helped me a lot. And I don't think I would be where I am today if I hadn't read that book back then, because it really helped me change my perspective on the stuff that I had in my life. I had so many things, again, but they were cheap, and I was holding on to them for different reasons. And that book really helped me understand that I didn't need to hold on to things just for, just in case situations. I didn't need to hold on to things because they were expensive and I felt guilty about selling them or donating them. So after I read that book, I really changed my mindset from one of that sort of unhealthy mindset to a mindset of just having things in my life that I loved, that I used, and that were really important to me. So that sort of leads me into the beginning of my capsule wardrobe. Like I said before, donated tons of my clothing, and I get this question a lot from people asking, how you can sort of start that process. Some people say, like, I have so many things that I love. Where do I start? How do I donate these things that I love? And my answer to that question is you don't need to donate things that you love. If you have pieces that you wear all the time and add value to your life, then keep them. There's no need to get rid of things just to get down to a certain number. But if you're like me, I had things that I wasn't wearing and things that were sort of bogging me down, and those are the things that I initially donated. I had pieces back then that I was sort of on the fence about. I didn't know if I wanted to keep or get rid of, so I just kept those things. I packed them away in suitcases, mine and Nick's suitcase, and then some drawers in our dresser that I wasn't using so that I wouldn't have to look at them. So once I had my capsule wardrobe, I would sort of shop or go through my pieces and donate things and pull together a little collection at the beginning of each season. And then I was really strict to not shop or anything for 3 months. And for me, someone who was a compulsive shopaholic, that was a big deal for me, and I was really proud of myself. And that process of not going out and not looking at things and thinking about new purchases was a really beneficial thing for me in my style and my wardrobe, but then also like mentally it was really beneficial for me too, because it taught me to be grateful for the things that I have. And that's a lesson that I would, do this capsule wardrobe thing over and over again for. And it was like a creative experiment to be able to go through them and see how I can mix and match things and make them work without thinking about things that I could buy. So my old self would have thought that having fewer pieces would have made me just want more and more, but in reality, the opposite happened. I felt so creative and free and light with the fewer pieces that I had, and I still feel that way today, even though I don't have a strict capsule wardrobe anymore. So yes, I don't have a strict capsule wardrobe anymore, but I do still have a small curated wardrobe, and I don't pack all of my out of season pieces away anymore because I find that I can sort of, grab pieces regardless of the season because I live in a really mild climate. Since starting my capsule wardrobe, I've learned about the devastating effects that fast fashion has on people and the world, so I don't support fast fashion anymore. I hardly ever even buy new pieces. I prefer to shop secondhand because I feel like for me, it's the most inexpensive way to shop ethically and sustainably. There are some brands that I do support, but it's like probably 5% of my wardrobe. Most of it is secondhand, and that's just what I love. So here are my tips if you're interested on how I keep my wardrobe small and curated without a capsule wardrobe. Number 1, unsubscribe from marketing emails and even marketing Instagram accounts. Keep a list in your phone of want items that will work with your current wardrobe. This is a really important one for me because I do shop mostly secondhand, so I like to have a list on my phone of things that I'm looking for. I'll even share it with my sister, so if she's out, she can keep her eye out for me too. And this is great for me because I never go into a store, a thrift store, garage sale, whatever, eBay, whatever, without a plan. I know I've talked about this in past videos before, but if you have a smaller wardrobe, it's also easier to sort of keep in mind what you have, so you're never buying things that are too similar or things that don't go with each other. Pay attention to materials. This is a newer important thing for me. It's definitely not something that I was thinking about when I first started my capsule wardrobe, but now I try to focus mostly on natural materials. This is good because some of the synthetic fibers or synthetic fibers in general, when you wash them, create microplastics that then end up going into the ocean and wreak havoc on ecosystems and our planet in general. And that's a topic for a whole nother video. And honestly, I feel like if I was worrying about that when I first started decluttering, it would have sort of derailed me. But it is something that I feel like I can control now in my wardrobe and with my new purchases. It also helps me because if I see something that I like at a thrift store, but it's not in a material that I want to support, I can't buy it, and then my wardrobe stays small. This next one sort of ties along with tip number 2, and that's don't go to a thrift store without a plan. And I'm really speaking to myself here because this is something that I've had to work on. I love shopping secondhand, and thrift stores are so fun for me because it's like a treasure hunt, right? But a lot of times I'll find things that I like but don't really need. And so if it's not on my list, if it's not part of my plan, if I don't think I'm going to use it and it's going to improve my life or whatever, I don't get it, and that's fine. And my last tip is don't shop out of boredom. This again was a major one for me because before I started my journey towards being a conscious consumer and my capsule wardrobe, I shopped all the time. It was so crazy and I have nothing to show for it now. So I would say, spend the time that you used to spend surfing online for deals or whatever on a hobby. Building a website, taking a ceramics class, going on a hike, hanging out with your friends and doing things that aren't, shopping. You'll feel so much better and you'll have something to show for it at the end, right? Like all those purchases that I made in my young adult years, I have nothing to show for now. And that's crazy because I spent so much money and so much of my time obsessing over that. So although I don't have a capsule wardrobe anymore, I think they're amazing. I think if you have one and it works for you, that's incredible. You should continue doing it. And I'm so glad that I found this beautiful community of people that are interested in bettering themselves and the environment. And I feel like capsule wardrobes are a really big part of that. So again, that's something that I wouldn't trade my capsule wardrobe experience for because I've learned so much through the process and it's really helped me along this journey and made me someone that I'm more proud to be. So now I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Squarespace. This is honestly a dream partnership for me because I use Squarespace and I love it. And before they reached out to me to sponsor a video, I was actually in the process of moving my tote bags from Etsy to my Squarespace site. That's why I've had my little BRB page up for a little bit, because I'm in the process of really redoing everything, you know, with my online branding, and it's really fun and really exciting. And Squarespace has been making this transition incredibly easy for me because of its beautifully designed templates that literally anyone could use. If I can use it, you guys can use it. I'm not a web designer, but they make it so incredibly simple. They have gorgeous templates and you never have to worry about updates or weird back-end bugs. Their sites even work seamlessly with plugins like MailChimp, which is what I use. Every Squarespace website is automatically automated to look good on a mobile site, and that's so important because so many of us are looking online from our phones. And trust me, I've tried to figure out how to make other online platforms mobile optimized, and it's so hard, and that's why I didn't have a blog for years, because I just couldn't figure it out. You can also transfer your third-party domains to Squarespace, which is cool because again, they just make everything so simple. I love the control that Squarespace gives me to be my own web designer and to make the unique vision of my site happen. Check out squarespace.com/Alli Cherry for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain for your online store or portfolio or blog. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and watching this video. If you liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.